All right, good afternoon. We're going to call to order the Parks Commission meeting of November 16th, 2023. It's a little after 4 p.m. We're going to do roll call, and I see we have no one online. We'll start down at the end. Okay.
Coco Sutton, City of Coos Bay Parks Commissioner.
Carmen Matthews, Commissioner.
Patty Scott, Commissioner.
Ariane Lyons, Commissioner.
Jamie Faraday, Commissioner.
Greg Hamblett, City of Coos Bay.
Jennifer Worsing, City of Coos Bay.
Amy Edmonds, City of Coos Bay.
All right, thank you. We will now open it up for public comment for items that are not on the agenda today. Do we have comment for something that's not on the agenda? Okay, step up.
Hello,
Hi.
my name's Eric. I'm a resident of Coos Bay, and I know probably most of you on here. And I just wanted to take my time here to introduce myself. I haven't ever attended a commission meeting. I've attended a few city council meetings, so I think I'll get like 3 minutes or something, which is fine. That's all I really want to do is just introduce myself. I am the founder and president of Front Street Community Bike Works, and that's important, relevant to why I'm here and one of your agenda items. But aside from that agenda item, I wanted to, I don't know, ask some questions, or maybe some of these issues that I have questions about will get addressed during the rest of the agenda item. But I think that you all know that the last city council meeting, they decided that the Parks Commission, as indicated by the municipal code wording, says that, you know, you guys have responsibility for bicycle facility projects, not just within the parks, but throughout the city itself. So I think that's a very interesting development. And ultimately, I have ambitions to become part of the committee, if that's at all possible, some way. And I think that some of my questions, again, may be answered because I think the staff recommendation was that there be a couple of ad hoc positions, non-voting, be added, and or replacement of voting positions. So I don't know how much you guys are going to decide on that today or what, but maybe that'll come during the agenda item. But I want to make sure that you all know that myself and Front Street Community Bike Works, a citizen organization that we are, because we are a nonprofit, would like to assist with as much legwork and work that might be of something of a burden to this commission in planning and implementing some of these bike facility projects, because we're very strong advocates for this. Obviously, we've been pushing for this. I want to introduce, you know, several of you already know about the Sharrows project, that it's so-called, that we've proposed is a short bicycle route signed from Market and Front Street to Mingus Park. And then there's a return route, and there's been a consultant report, and we've actually established a committee. I think it's a committee. I'm a little unclear on some of that, but we've been working for quite some time on it, maybe a year now or so. There's been a report written. There's some proposals that have been produced by a consultant, and our committee has reached a conclusion that we have a preference on one of those. So I am not sure how that fits in with the agenda. I sort of see it as a separate project from what is the agenda item today, and I don't know, and Jennifer on others maybe can offer guidance as to what the next steps are for that. But as Jennifer knows, we have reached an agreement, the whole group reached an agreement on a preferred alternative. Of course, it still needs more work, but that's where we're at with that project, and I wanted to introduce that to the group. So, and again, avail myself and our bike shop, Front Street Community Bike Works, for any support that might be helpful in that regard. So whether it's details about that. Oh, one final thing is, if possible, I would like to ask to be put on the agenda for whenever the next meeting is, to perhaps provide you, the commission, a detailed look at what this proposal is, because I think, again, others can maybe help, but I think that the preferred alternative we've got is going to go before the city council at some point. And so I'd be happy to help, you know, provide background and details to that. So that's my comment.
Awesome, thank you. And we will put you on there as an agenda item for next month.
Okay, great. And I can put together some visuals I think that'll be important to see, so you can have some, so you and anybody else can see where the route is, what it looks like, and what some of the difficulties and challenges may be and what the benefits are, of course.
There was discussion, it was probably 15 years ago or so, of connecting each of the parks with a bike route at some point. But, you know, as things go, people move and stuff goes away and money and things. So I think that is something that all of us are quite interested in.
Great. Well, now we've got Front Street Community Bike Works, which is a citizen organization that's part of our mission is dedicated to that kind of effort. So you've got a sustained advocate for you to help support you guys with this.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Any additional community comments for items that are not on the agenda? All right. We're going to move on down to action item 3A, consideration to form subcommittee to develop process for reserving assets at city parks. There we go. Greg, are you starting off with this one?
Yes, I'll do that. So if it, in the past, the Parks Commission has adopted Park Subcommittee, and the subcommittee has been very busy doing some good works. And one of those topics is that they would like to discuss today, the subcommittee would be to discuss a procedure to rent the Boy Scout cabin. So during this process, the city does have a rental agreement process for the Boy Scout cabin. However, city staff does not track the ongoing usership of the facility by private persons, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts of America, and nonprofits, nor does staff know which scout troop is occupying the site at any given time. The subcommittee is recommended, if recommended, would explore the need and methodology of tracking the usership and possibly update the tracking of that usership and create a draft policy and procedure for city staff to implement. Coco, would you like to expand on that?
Yes, thank you. Part of the detail, going back, I think the furthest I went back on details on the scout cabin that was available to me was 1963. And as far as applications, because my understanding is other than special events, this is the only facility in the City of Coos Bay Parks inventory that requires a permit for rental and use. Everything else is a special permit. So the last resolution that I found coming out of the City of Coos Bay was signed on September 15th, 1998. And that was signed by Mayor Joanne Verger. And there was a lot of commentary that went back and forth on it. So what we would like to do is get a group to work with the data that we've gathered, because if we're going to be putting the type of historic designation and resources into stabilizing and safety on this, you know, unique structure. We did hold an open house on October
I think it was the
21st. October 21st, yes. And we got a lot of feedback from the community groups and walkers and people that did come in. And we think that we need to address the rental use, any MOUs for groups that historically, meaning going back to 1940, have had special relationships with the parks, so that we have it codified and we are able to pull that data when we're putting in for grants or any other detailed information. So thank you.
Thank you, Coco. So if it pleases the commission, make a recommendation to create a subcommittee to review, update, or establish a procedure to rent the Boy Scout cabin. Once a recommendation to create a subcommittee to review, update, or establish the procedure has been approved, staff will present this recommendation to the Public Works Director for approval.
I think my only comment there is that to make sure that the rental process for outside citizens or people that have established relationships is not too daunting, so that there's a decrease in usage. Because the whole goal for all of this, of course, is to increase usage of all of our park assets, because they are community assets. So that would be my only caveat there. I am looking for a recommendation.
I would like to recommend that we have individuals form a subcommittee for exploring the Scout cabin rental process and bringing some deliverables back to this group and/or the city staff first, and then this group, so that we can get that process and procedure. So not only whatever the agreement is, but where it's going to live and what kind of data we want.
All right. I have a
Second.
first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 3B, kayak vendor at Toppitz Park.
If I may, I appreciate the committee voting on that, but do we want to establish who will be on that subcommittee
Oh,
at this
No.
point in time?
I'm just kidding. Sure.
Sorry.
Who wants to be on
request
the
denied.
committee?
I'm just kidding.
We draw straws after the meeting, so it's not on public
Yeah,
record.
well, I mean, we have a subcommittee right now for the Adopt a Park.
Yeah, I think my recommendation would be the subcommittee that's already working on the Boy Scout cabin, if they want to add this as their additional task, given that they're knowledgeable of it.
As long as Coco's on the committee.
I also wanted to make sure if there was anyone here that had a particular interest in being included on that, I would like to make sure that they're given that opportunity.
Yeah.
Are there scouts, leaders that might be useful in this endeavor?
We already have that information,
Okay.
and that's in the file. It's
All right.
one of those things, when you start on a project, things come out, and we have a file, and that is what brought up the need between the city of Coos Bay, the park
the
master
users.
plan that we're working on for Mingus Park, which is now 116 pages with appendices, and what the process is for the city to
Right.
administer the fees and information that we have. So,
Sounds
thank
like
you.
somebody in business would be good for that.
Well, I think I'm already on the committee.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think our recommendation is it's just going to be the committee that's already working on it. And I don't think we need to take action on that, unless you want me to.
No, I think I think if the subcommittee wants to be the subcommittee, then the subcommittee can
Okay.
be the subcommittee.
We
All
don't, we
right.
don't need so many sandwiches, so as
right.
fewer subs as possible.
So the subcommittee has been established.
Okay.
Perfect, thank
We
you.
have
Yep.
we have it identified, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so action item 3B, kayak vendor at Toppitz Park.
So, the city staff was approached by Coastal Kayak and Stand Up Paddleboard Rentals LLC to place a kayak kiosk at John Toppitz Park near the kayak launch. City staff received a request to place that kiosk by the owners, Adam and Jenna Wamba. They met with staff and have provided a business plan as well as other accompanying documents to the staff. Staff reviewed the documents as well as forwarded them along to the city attorney and the public works director for review. The owners per their business plan, and they're here today. I'll invite them up in a second to answer any questions you may have. The owners will be responsible for maintaining the kayak kiosk. So with that, if the action that I'm going to be asking for is that if the commission, if it pleases the commission, make a recommendation to approve the installation of the kayak kiosk at John Toppitz Park, staff will present this recommendation to the Public Works and Community Development Director for a final decision. As you go further down into the report, there are other attachments there. They have provided us a business plan. They also provided a picture of one that they have established out at 10 Mile Lake that's in place now. They've also included their maintenance procedures, and then also provided a site location or requested site location at John Toppitz near the existing kayak launch, and a rendition. And so that's all there for you to take a look at. Like I said, Adam and Jenna are both here today. If you guys would like to come up and answer any questions that maybe the commission may have.
Hi, I'm Adam. This is my wife Jennifer.
Hi.
and I'm here to answer any questions you got.
Okay.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for your time. And I did have a few questions
Sure.
because I'm not familiar with the overarching vendor process for the City of Coos Bay Parks. That's something that I was going to be looking at. One of the things I wanted to ask was for the kiosks that you already have at 10 Mile Lake, has there been a lot of vandalism or attraction for vandalism with that being added to the park?
Zero. We've
Okay.
had none at 10 Mile Lake, and we also have GPS trackers. We have alarm systems on the kiosk, and we also have cameras.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And is there a year-round schedule, or do you pull things during certain times of the year?
So when we pull the kayaks out of there, we just determine it on how people are renting them. So this year, like this time of year, it's going to be more fishing kayaks, which we're about to go replace out there. During the summer, they like to do a lot more paddle boarding and standard kayaking. So we just do it as is, and then we keep it open all year round. We actually have people renting at 10 Mile right now.
Right.
Today,
So
so.
the inventory might change, but the actual structure will remain year-round?
The structure will remain the same unless if we find more tourism coming into town,
Okay.
which we did see this summer. And we are able to go from a 4 kayak, so it holds 4 right now, we're able to go up to 12 on those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the location footprint that you're looking at, the maintenance would include the potential for expanding that?
Correct.
Okay, and is that something that you were wanting to address in your initial pilot with us, or is that something you would reserve for later on after
Yeah,
you've
we
done
would
it?
just reserve that for later,
Okay.
yeah.
So would it be fair to say that this is like a one-year pilot thing to see how it goes in your
We would,
estimation?
if we do it, we would like to do 2 years.
Okay.
To recoup profits on the
Investment,
kiosk.
okay.
That's the deal that we have with the county right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like to do it that way. It just gives us more of a potential to make our money back.
Okay. And on your.
donate more money to the city if they want it.
Right, so on your situation at 10 Mile Lake with the county,
Mm-hmm.
your percentage of gross, which is very generous because there's overhead and expenses.
Yep.
Are you finding that that is realistic for 2 years, or do you have something in your initial contracts that have either escalation or de-escalation depending on the season and what happens?
So we just base it off a certain percentage. We start 7% for the first year and then 10% thereafter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it was 7% and then 10.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, just to let the commission know, we do have a draft agreement internally at this point in time, but it mimics very much the agreement that they have with the county. So I'll be sending that off for review with both our insurance and our attorney as well.
And the city is, will be under our insurance as well, and we have $4 million aggregate insurance, so you don't have to worry about anything happening or anything like that. And there's no cost to the city at all, so it doesn't, nothing comes out of the city's pocket. It's all on us.
And I'm assuming you have something, since it's a standalone station where people are doing something, there's not someone's presence there all the time. The indemnification between your company and the user is something you handle,
Correct.
okay, electronically or however.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if I'm not able to get to the kiosk, I'm able to unlock it from my phone. So if they had locked their phone in there, I have all remote access, yeah.
So on the insurance and liability, I'm sorry,
Oh.
on the insurance and liability, the city has their own indemnification and
Yes,
requirements for
correct.
you, and then you as a vendor to the public
Correct.
renting. And would there be any life jackets or other stations of that type of stuff?
Absolutely. So
Okay, thank
there's
you.
lockers built into the kiosk, and each locker has PDFs in it, which include life jackets, paddles, a kayak trolley, whistles, waterway passes, all that stuff.
Wow,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
Have we done vendor applications in the past?
Oh, that brings to like a little minor thing. So we had this discussion about kayak vendors at the boardwalk like 12 years ago, and
Right.
it got real kerfuffly. Technology has changed significantly, so
Right.
I'm really excited about this. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And then I think going back to the overall vendor discussion about each location. So I think taking it on as a pilot and a trial for 2 years makes total sense, but we need to be prepared for other type projects, and also a little bit of backlash from a local company that didn't get to go on the boardwalk.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Jamie?
I've never encountered a vending machine for kayaks.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a river kayaker. I don't do too much flat water. Walk me through this. If I approached your kiosk with my credit card, I presume?
Correct, yeah, they're cashless.
What happens next if I wanted a kayak?
So it's cashless, and you will walk up with your card. It's swipe, tap, or it's swipe or tap to use it. So you walk up, and there's a digital screen, and then you'll choose which kayak you want to rent. You know, you go through the list, and after you swipe your card, it'll unlock the kayak, and then it pops open a locker automatically. And then you rent your stuff, you close everything up, you come back, you re-swipe your card, and it pops everything back open. It just uses the last 4 digits of your credit card as a code to reopen them at the end. It doesn't recharge you anything.
And everything has to be in its place before it.
It gives you a timer, not necessarily. The timer doesn't, if the timer goes off, it's not going to charge you more. We go there periodically, and because nobody ever puts anything back the way it's,
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to be. So we go there periodically and readjust everything.
Nice.
Add new whistles, spray with Lysol, do
Yeah.
cleaning and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And on page 7 of the staff report, there is a picture of the kiosk out at Lakeside. There, you can see it's solar powered, and I'm not sure how the technology works either, but that's why I'm not in the kayak rental business. These folks are, and they've got a pretty good business plan put together that's also included in the packet, and so.
Page 6 says 5% for the payment. So you said 7 and 10?
Yeah, that's what was on the original.
Okay.
When we did the 5 and 7%, that's what we were going to go with, but we just decided to change it.
Okay.
So,
I
yeah,
was just-
make it more appealing to you guys.
Okay. That sounds good.
So with that, if it pleases the commission, make a recommendation to approve the installation of the kayak kiosk at John Toppet's Park.
Do we want to have any additional discussion on the location selected?
I have a question about the public process. Do you have to put out bids and see if other people are interested, or do you just get to pick whoever comes and has a suggestion? I just know how things would work in my world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not terribly sure how to answer that question. I would say that, because this is not a city procurement, we have certain rules that we have to follow during the procurement process. This is not a city procurement, so we're not, other than the location, we're not invested in it, other than that location.
Which brings me back to the boardwalk situation, which spurred off into a million different other things, and the food cart fiasco situation, where we never came to a full conclusion on any of that stuff. So I think that we just need to be prepared that we are going to get additional requests, and how we handle those requests so we're not inundated in our parks with multiple locations. I mean, I think this is a really good project and I really like it, and I think we should go forward with it. But also, we need to be prepared that what if somebody brings in, Natural Spring vitamin dispenser, some of these component pieces, which we had tried to do at the boardwalk, because there were some kiosks, they wanted to do kayak, jet ski, and some sort of food thing, and then it spiraled into a whole thing, and then I think we scrapped the whole rental in parks situation, because it got a little out of, and then it became an insurance issue, so. Do you remember that?
I vaguely.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to be important. I feel like it's going to be important for us to create a process from which we have an application for vendors and a selection process, some kind of rubric for that.
Coco?
Yes, I'd like to address just some background. Parks in Oregon are always historically, from pony rides in the 1960s, anything out at sunset, even in the teens and 20s. In this particular situation, I feel that, if I'm not incorrect, that the water body that you're proposing this kiosk is adjacent to is owned and within the scope of control of the city of Coos Bay. Is that correct?
There's, I think, a portion of the water body abuts SWAC.
Okay. What I'm getting at is on the boardwalk situation, you're running into Vision Estate Lands, navigable. There's a whole lot of other things that are different. In my opinion, the goal and objectives of the City of Coos Bay Parks and Recreation is to provide safe and diverse opportunities for people in our park. I'm assuming that the kiosk is going to be near the recently installed ADA kayak launch. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the kayak launch is not going to be pulled in the winter for water body instabilities because it's not in a tidal confluence, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I would like to propose that, A, I agree we need a policy if you don't already have one, but I have a feeling that if you looked in your logs, you probably have something concerning vendor proposals in parks. It can go from pony rides to ice cream trucks, whatever. But in this particular recreational opportunity, I would like to consider this as a pilot project. I would like to include quarterly reports and feedback to the commission concerning any issues. And I would like to see that we review annually how it's going between the vendor and ourselves, because you can't provide diverse opportunities of recreation if you don't start with a benchmark. Parks that are used become parks that are not as abused. And right now, everywhere in the United States in public lands, we are seeing a cacophony of everything from wildfires that are not naturally set, willful destruction of properties, and pollution in our waterways. And I think having recreational opportunities with partners that have a solid business plan, have insurance capabilities, are providing something that's specific to recreation in the park, and it's within the control of the city, i.e., is the body of water something that you have to share ownership or concern with someone else, that you may be able to go forward with a pilot project such as this. Thank you.
So Coco, I'm going to summarize briefly as the motion, and correct me if I am wrong. We will move forward with the kayak vendor as proposed as a pilot project with the intent that the City of Coos Bay and the Commission will work on our vendor project proposal, future requirements, but we'll move forward with this project as presented. Is that correct?
Yes, and with the added caveats of the quarterly review and impact on the land, you know, for both the vendor and for park users. So I would like to add that to the pilot project and then have a one-year clause that if there's feedback that becomes too onerous for either the individuals that have applied or the City of Coos Bay staffing or the park's overall master plans, that we can terminate that agreement. In other words, if we're going to do a pilot project and we have to say everybody's stuck for 2 years, I'm uncomfortable with that because there's things that could come up. So I want some kind of clause that makes it possible for that to have mutually agreed or certain caveats for that if it's going to impact user recreation or escalating cost or maintenance because of a nuisance attraction or something. And it's not within the control of anyone to know that now, but given the location, we're uncertain. So thank you so much.
Can I get a second? Okay, second from Patty, first from Coco. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving this as a pilot project with the caveat that it's reviewed quarterly and has a one-year escape clause if something terrible happens, to be reviewed in the future, and then also the committee to review and propose future vendor applications, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
It's good. Technology is amazing. I just have to say that.
I was just unlocking the kiosk out at the park because they actually locked their wallets in there
Oh.
while you guys were talking.
Perfect.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we're moving on to item 3C, discussion to move and/or cancel December Parks Commission meeting. Let's see.
So, we are going to be having a Parks Commission is scheduled for December 21st. City staff will discuss the topic of canceling the December 21st Parks Commission meeting due to the holidays at the October Parks Commission meeting. Staff advised the members in attendance at the October meeting that if there was a desire to cancel the December meeting, it would have to go to the commission for a recommendation. So therefore, the action that staff is requesting is if it pleases the council or the commission, if the commission would like to move, cancel, or not cancel the December 21st Parks Commission meeting, please make a recommendation.
Coco?
I believe there's a certain amount of time for public notice if you change the meeting date. If we change the meeting date and move it up 1 week, how does that impact the public notice? Because I think it's 30 days, is it not?
I believe it's 5-day notice.
Yeah, they reduced it.
Oh, for the electronic? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would recommend that we don't cancel it because we have too many chickens in the pot with grants and other opportunities that we're discussing right now, and I would like to see us not cancel the meeting. I'm not opposed to it being a week earlier or a week later, but my sense is that given the time of year, a week earlier might fit better, but I defer to my colleagues, but I would recommend that we don't cancel it. Thank you.
Can we have the room on the 14th? Jamie?
I agree. I could go either with the 21st or earlier.
I would say we've got lots going on as well.
Who is not available on the 14th? No? Can,
I'm not available on the 14th, but I don't have to be here.
okay. Is there a preference on the 14th or the 28th?
Ooh.
You also can move it up
Yeah.
another week. You can move it up to the 7th. That's pretty much back to back.
I think 28th is probably rough for me. It's right in between all, yeah, that's like
Yeah.
family time.
Yeah, what's wrong with the 21st?
Just close to Christmas, I
It's
guess.
just close to Christmas. I'm not
Oh.
sure if folks would be available.
We're keeping it, 21st. Yep.
Okay.
Makes it easy.
All right, moving on.
So is the
Yeah, it's not.
recommendation to keep it the 21st?
Yep.
All right. Do you guys want to?
Do we don't need to make a motion because we're not moving anything?
Perfect. We'll leave it there then.
All right. Item number 3D, establish bicycle pedestrian committee responsibilities.
Okay.
Carmen, do you want to talk about this, or,
I'll take this one.
okay.
Throw that at me.
Unless you would like to, Carmen.
No, I'm good. I'll take the blame for it.
Council directed staff to create a bicycle committee to make comment on capital transportation projects. Staff has reviewed what other cities have done, and it's very common to, for this type of committee to also include pedestrians as well as bicycles in that type of review. In the city's current municipal code, chapter 2.3, it discusses the Parks Commission, specifically section 2.30.020, item 2, which discusses the functions, powers, and duties of the Parks Commission states. These general duties shall include, but are not limited to, recommendations on development of pedestrian trails and bikeways for accessibility to and within the park system for recreation and transportation within the city. Based on this language, it appears that there is no need to create a separate committee. Staff presented this to the council at the November 7th meeting. While ideally council would prefer a transportation committee, council understands that there are not the staff resources to accomplish this at this time and would like to place this on the duties of the Park Commission as is already written into the code. So the Parks Commission can act as the bicycle and pedestrian committee, much like the council acts as the URA board. Or the Parks Commission can create a subcommittee. A subcommittee would require separate meetings and reporting back to the commission on an as-needed basis. Additionally, the commission may want to consider adding up to 2 ex officio non-voting positions to be filled with persons having experience in bicycle-related issues. In a lot of the examples reviewed, this was often used. Another option could also be adding to the composition of the Parks Commission a member with bicycle and pedestrian transportation expertise. However, this would require a code change, which is not a problem, and you could only really fill that position until there's a vacancy. If the commission has no objection to taking on this duty and/or forming a subcommittee, staff can create bylaws expounding on the Parks Commission's roles with respect to bicycle and pedestrian matters for council approval, and provide training on an as-needed basis for the transportation projects and components. Typically, there are only about 4 to 6 capital projects each year, and of these, only about half would be eligible for bike and pedestrian improvements, because we do a lot of projects on local and neighborhood roads. So the action that we're looking for is, if it pleases the commission, act as the bicycle and pedestrian committee, allow up to 2 ex officio non-voting positions for the committee, and direct staff to create bylaws.
For the public meeting requirements, if we act as the committee, do we have to do all of our public meeting announcements and things the same, as long as we discuss only bicycle stuff?
It would be built right into the parks agenda.
Okay. Coco?
I had a question. I agree that it is normally seen under parks to have that, and just like ODOT has multimodal grants and things available for things that are in their highway situation. My question would be, much as we have a tree committee that meets as needed and has certain specifications as to who sits on it and gives public notice, I would recommend that we might explore, unless it causes more work on the city, having that particular model. Is that an option?
I think they announced that they don't have the staff resources to do
Okay.
that at this time.
So it wouldn't be a subcommittee then?
And can we, like, if we make it part of the Parks Commission and then we establish later that there's enough staff resources and the bicycle piece is taking up too much of Parks' time, we can peel that out into a separate committee at a later time, right?
I think that could be presented to council for consideration.
Okay.
With staff availability.
With staff availability.
And that's why I did talk about how many projects really realistically that you folks would be looking at per year. And I'm not trying to say that it's not an ask. There is going to be some work and maybe some training involved. But,
Yeah, the only reason I bring that up is when you get into anything that has to do with roadways, pedestrians, or multimodal shared components, which bicycle trails and pedestrian trails and things like that, whether they're off-road or in the city streets or into ODOT's area, I think training is really important, and there are opportunities to get grants for that, because you have a lot of studies that you need to do before you put in bikeways, share rows, things like that. And there's a reason for that, and a lot of it, I think, has to do with traffic controls in, keeping liability off the city for accidents or things like that that can come up where you place those. So that's my only concern.
so to be clear, we're really not asking this committee to do design.
Right.
Just maybe make recommendations, and we would make sure you would have the appropriate professionals
Okay.
to lean on.
Okay.
Yeah, city staff has already worked on bicycle sharrows and lanes and transportation in general, and this has kind of come about because the staff has gone and explored some of this already and done those studies, and now we need ways in which we can discuss it in a separate committee before it even makes it to city council. So this all makes a lot of sense to me. I would like to move that the commission acts as the bicycle and pedestrian committee. We allow up to 2 ex officio non-voting positions for the committee, and direct staff to create bylaws for the committee.
Well, I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jamie. Further discussion?
Excuse me, can Dan go?
Yes.
You never asked for it, so I just-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, yes. Come up to the microphone.
My name's Kurt Benward. I'm a resident of Coos Bay. I've been on the group that's been working with Eric and Jennifer on some plans to move a bicycle lane east to west. I just want to tell you, I want to thank you for taking this on, because it probably wasn't even something you thought about when you were coming on the Parks Commission. But if somebody has a bicycle or pedestrian issue, they kind of get put by the wayside, and now they have a home.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important and beneficial that you're doing this. And I don't worry about expertise, because I know there's a couple of bike riders on the commission already. I know from working with Jennifer on the project that we've been involved with that she has a lot of streets knowledge. And that they hired a consultant specifically to cover the issues that were involved in the bike lane. So I think a lot of that expertise is out there. Yeah, some training to give you some basic background stuff, but as far as actual streets and how they have to be laid out with bike lanes or pedestrian traffic, so I'm not too worried about. I will tell you that 4 to 6 projects that Jennifer's talking about is great, but I hope you're open to more than that. I hope that you're a commission that's going to be open to the public coming to you with suggestions about bike and pedestrian lanes. So they don't necessarily need to go to the city council, then come to you. I also hope that, I took a look at your parks plan. You did a wonderful job. You assessed all your parks assets and what they needed and where to go next. We have a lot of streets in the town. We certainly don't need to worry about bike lanes on small residential streets. But I hope in this process that you're able to find enough time to kind of be proactive and look at places in the town that may benefit from having better pedestrian and bicycle access. So I think that's really important. And also that you look for grants and other funding sources to do some of those things. The state has a pedestrian and bike lane committee that puts out grants every year, and it's something to maybe watch. And finally, I'm hoping that you also, if you take this on, going to be the body or organization that helps coordinate with other government agencies. One of the gentlemen at the city council meeting talked about riding his bicycle over from East Side into Coos Bay and riding on the sidewalks, which Carmen commented on you're not supposed to do, but that's a very dangerous place to ride. So I get where he's coming from. But rather than, when those kind of issues come up, or whether it's ODOT or the state or whatever, rather than saying, well, that's not our jurisdiction, rather maybe you go to the county and say, listen, we have citizens in East Side that want to ride their bike to Coos Bay. That's a problem. And so maybe we need to work together to look for a solution. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited that you're going to do it, whether it's a subcommittee or just you guys. I mean, that's totally up to you. But I'm happy that you're taking it on, and I hope you take those other things into consideration. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment on this item? No? Okay. Yeah.
Thanks. I'd just like to add a couple of things. Again, as Front Street Community Bike Works president, I have some, I would say, experience and training in some of these issues. So certainly not at a level of a professional engineer or design engineer, something like traffic engineer, but I am very familiar with some of the standards that are used. I just actually completed what's called a smart cycling training certification program through the League of American Cyclists, which has a lot of teaching and training about the rules of the road. So, I mean, I've invested a significant amount of energy and interest in advocating for this and integrating cycling into the transportation development of the city. So I would plan to bring, again, as I already said, efforts like that to help support, and because I know we're talking about a workload here for the commission and for the city council, but I'm not just coming empty-handed with an ask. I want to help contribute and support this. So I wanted to say that.
Thank you. I'm excited because with it being under Parks, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can utilize our Parks grant writer possibly for some stuff, because that's an advantage of being under Parks. We have a dedicated Parks grant writer. And then also my not-so-secret dream of the future of the linear park that connects downtown Coos Bay and Empire along Ocean Boulevard. It's my dream to have a linear park that connects the two, that is multimodal and has a good experience, because if anybody has ridden their bike or walked along Ocean Boulevard, it's absolutely terrible. So that's, of course, I keep playing Powerball to see if that will become a reality, because I think that might be what it takes. But so we have a first and a second. Any further additional discussion?
I just want to say thank you for the great comments that you all provided. I think this is a good place for this to land. Maybe speaking just personally, because I do want to be involved in it. As a cyclist myself, I see a lot of room for improvement within our city, and I have some lofty goals, so we'll see what we can make happen. But it's definitely going to take more people with more expertise than we all currently have. So, and more minds just trying to piece these things out. And I do think that the city projects that come about every year, they need to be looked at for all that multimodal approach. But bringing it outside of the scope would be another thing for me, another goal of mine. So really excited to see what we can pull together for this, and I guess that's it.
Awesome. So I have a first and a second. I'll call for vote. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are moving on down to item 3E, consideration to remove Bill from the commission. As we have noted, he has not been here for a considerable period of time. And on those times that we do need votes for the one vacation I took last month, I apologize for not being here, so you guys didn't have a quorum, we do need to fill that position. Greg, do you have any further comment?
Well, yeah, it's always a tough conversation to have, but the potential for removing somebody from a commission that they volunteered to do. However, in the Coos Bay Municipal Code, it does lay out the requirements to be a commissioner, and that is that if you miss 3 meetings unexcused without letting anybody know, then it's non-performance of the duty. We take, or we appreciate the folks that volunteer to be on the commission, but at the same time, we also need to be able to do business. And there's, potential that we can't do that if all the members can't be here. And so with that, it's like I said, it's a tough conversation to have, but I think it's for the betterment of the commission and the city. If it pleases the commission, make a recommendation to the city council to remove Commissioner Bill Otten from the commission for non-performance of duty and to start soliciting the public for applications for an 8th commissioner.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate conversation for sure, but from what I saw in the notes, he hasn't been in a meeting since prior to March.
I went back to March to look at the attendance records of the commission, and he hasn't been here since March. I didn't go before that any deeper than March of this year.
Yeah, so we've had much more than 3 meetings since then, so.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved as Greg put forth the situation.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Second from Carmen. Any additional commissioner comments? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are down to staff and commissioner closing comments. Any staff comments? Commissioner?
Do you guys have any comments? Like I said, I really appreciate the folks volunteering and coming in and doing their duty as a commission member. I know it's not always easy to get here, but we do appreciate it, and we take it very seriously, and we appreciate the insight and input from the commission, and we wouldn't be nearly where we're at with a lot of things without it. So thank you very much for your work, and look forward to the next meeting and doing more business. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I, too, look forward to safer and more expedient traveling by 2-wheel vehicles from Coos Bay to Empire and Coos Bay to East Side. I did that for 24 years, teaching in at Millicoma and at Sunset, and never had an incident, but you have to be on your toes. So I'm looking forward to this.
Coco?
I would like to give a little comment about the Adopt a Park pilot project. Commissioner Faraday has been successful in soliciting and receiving the funding for the 3 compostable doggy waste stations and bags. We're getting ready to work out a lot of the details of paperwork for getting that ordered through the proper procurement situation with the city. And we also, as a subcommittee with our fabulous people here, Jamie, Carmen, worked through all the forms and the behind-the-scenes process of how the money is going to get deposited and identified. So I just want to say it's looking like we've got 2 grants that are going to be, one of them should be hearing on in December. That's why I'd like us not to miss a meeting. So we'll know if we have to do something else. And our subcommittee is going to be meeting with the city manager to discuss the process once the trees come down that are hazard trees on the disposition of the non-marketable timber, i.e. firewood. I think I'd like to really, really give a shout out to the city staff, from the people in the Public Works Department, this gentleman here and his colleagues, helping us clean up the scout cabin, including dismantling with a lot of sparks, an old piece of stove that was in the back hidden, with Jennifer and Greg putting in a lot of additional time to help us get grant materials. Carmen and the ladies in the office there finding files with documentation that we need for those grants. So I'm hoping that starting in 2024, we can get a template out for working order of getting the grant data on the city servers so that we can get some of these projects done, so that when we do our review at the end of the pilot project for Adopt a Park, we have some deliverables that can help us make a decision for moving forward. So thank you for everyone's support.
Thank you, Coco. Carmen?
Just want to say thank you, first off, to Coco, who's been doing the lion's share of the work on the Adopt a Park committee. There's a lot of emails, and they're mostly from her, so doing a ton of work, and it's been amazing. I also want to echo the kudos or the gratitude to the city staff, who I know has had a lot of extra duties put forth because of the decision to move forward with an Adopt a Park pilot project. I know it's been a lot of lift, but y'all are sticking with us, and it's going to be a cool thing to see that particular park asset be renovated and hopefully just used in a much more thorough way throughout the community. And I think it's something that we should all be proud of as a Parks Commission. It's a really unique park asset. I'm excited about the bike committee. I'm kind of sorry that I just threw it all on you there. I feel like personally responsible. I was like, oh, we'll do it. Didn't even talk to y'all, but I think it was where it needed to land. And
We just need money.
yeah, we just need more money. So one more question that I had was, how long do we have that grant writer for? Is that just 1 year?
Just 1 year, but doesn't mean you can't make the ask again.
Yeah, well, how many
And by 1
projects?
year, because we didn't hire her in exactly the fiscal year, so,
We did. We procured her like just a few days after the July 1st.
okay.
So how many projects have we thrown at her thus far?
We've thrown 2 projects at her, well, 3, but 2 projects. We're going to be submitted one. We're going to be submitting another one here tomorrow, and then based on the one we submit tomorrow, we're going to use that to do the 3rd one that's due in December, and then we're going to jump into the land conservation fund in January, and basically we're using kind of the same language that we developed here for the scout cabin.
All right, well, I'm really hoping that we get a decent success rate and that when we go for the ask for next budget year, there's a resounding yes, because I think we absolutely need it. If we're not going to be charging for, or billing for parks facilities in some way, shape, or form, we need some funding vehicle, so.
Well, I'm off on that. I totally forgot. We've already been awarded one.
Hey,
So
that's
we're
correct.
4, sorry, not 3. So we're 1 for 1 right now, and we
Yeah,
haven't
that's
heard
right.
back. Yeah,
Okay.
the Mogan Foundation.
Yes.
So we'll do the ask right now. We're 100% successful, so.
We're feeling good about the cycle organ.
I'm really glad to hear that. All right, well, let's keep throwing more stuff at her.
And we had discussed also the Parks Commission reviewing the budget before it goes to the budget hearing for next year. So I just want to make sure that that stays on our agenda.
So staff has an advanced agenda. If you guys ever want to see it, you can, and you're on there for,
Okay.
you're on there. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what month, but we put it there.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, wonderful. That's all my comments.
All right, thank you, Carmen. Patty?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm excited about some of what we did today, and it fits in with, in the college's master plan, one of our projects is a trail around campus that connects to Toppets, which is 2 bridges for us, and so it fits in with what we're trying to do to be more of an asset to the parks and to the city of Coos Bay, and it'd be great for our students and employees. We have a number that bike and have had accidents. So kudos for you for biking all those years and taking your life in your own hands. So, that's all.
Thank you, Patty. I'm excited because I think we're making considerable forward movement on stuff. I mean, sometimes you're part of committees and commissions and it seems like nothing happens. But if we look back at the last 12, 18 months, we've accomplished quite a bit and there's a lot of stuff on the horizon that we're going to do. So I'm excited. And we actually have people showing up to our meetings on occasion, which is amazing. Usually nobody's out there. So it's really nice to see. So we appreciate it and we appreciate our public comment as well. So thank you so much. I'm going to close out the meeting and I wish everyone a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.